Hi everyone, this is Kalyan Kumar this side and welcome back to Chemistry Universe. We're doing carboxylic acid and this is video number 5 and this is named Schmidt reaction. Now you've already done one particular video of Schmidt reaction in aldehydes and ketones. Now that was converting an aldehyde in the presence of hydrozoic acid to give you a cyanide. So if you go back to aldehyde and ketone, you will check that out. And if you were to treat it with a ketone instead, then you would get a secondary amide. So that was the Schmidt reaction for aldehydes and ketones. In this one, we are talking about the Schmidt reaction on carboxylic acids. And this is a beautiful method for preparing primary amines from carboxylic acids. So let's check that out. All right, so this will be reaction number 8. Yeah, it's going to be reaction number 8. We've done 7 reactions in chemical properties. So this is reaction number 8, Schmidt reaction. So you have a carboxylic acid reacted with hydrozoic acid in the presence of concentrated sulfuric acid. And the result is you get a primary amine, you get nitrogen gas and CO2. Now there are a lot of reactions which are similar to this. And I'll talk about them as and when they come up. There is a reaction called Hofmann-bromomide degradation. There's a reaction called Lawson reaction. So all these reactions are very similar, and I'll tell you what is the similarity and at what point of time does the similarity begin. Okay, so let's check out the mechanism. This is interesting. First of all, carboxylic acid, which is supposed to be acidic, but then sulfuric acid is able to protonate it, and the lone pair of OH picks up this H plus and becomes this. Not that obvious, but then this is how it happens. And then there is water being eliminated and you'll get an acylium ion, which is resonance stabilized. And therefore acylium ions are generally more stable than even carbocations. Now HN3 is going to begin to act. And the way it is going to act would be, the minus charge comes here, the pi bond shifts to nitrogen, and the lone pair on this is going to become active enough to attack this electrophilic carbon. And what you will get would be something like this. Just check this out. Now what happens is, now this is where things start becoming common with other similar type of reactions, and I'll explain what I mean. The moment you get something like this, where the nitrogen has an acidic H, because remember this H is acidic because the negative charge on this is stabilized by resonance with this double bond O as well as by this. And even if this were not to stabilize it in any way, I mean it's going to be a minus I group, so the negative charge on nitrogen will be stabilized anyway. So what you're basically saying is this H is going to be acidic. On top of that, you also have a good leaving group. Whenever the nitrogen, or for that matter even carbon, has an acidic H and a good leaving group attached, this will what happen? First, it will lose the H plus. So remember, it is catalyzed by sulfuric acid. So it took the H plus in the beginning. Now it gave back the H plus. And you get this. So the negative charge comes on N because it is stable. But now look what happens. This bond breaks and the leaving group leaves, leaving you with nitrene. This is similar to a carbene. This is called a nitrene. So obviously you will, so whenever you get this nitrene in any reaction, and the only way to get a nitrene is to have an acidic H on nitrogen and also have a leaving group. Now in this case, the leaving group was N2. It could be any other leaving group. And depending upon what that leaving group is, there would be a specific reaction name attached to that. So here the leaving group is nitrogen. You could have a halogen. You could have any other leaving group also. So once you get this nitrene, so you need an H on nitrogen as well as a good leaving group. So you get nitrene. The moment you get nitrene, everything now becomes similar to the other reactions I mentioned. And that we will talk about as and when they come up. Alright, so the lone pair, now this is what happens. the nitrogen has 2 electrons short of octet. So what happens is these lone pair, they come and attack this carbon. Now remember, the carbon already has 4 bonds. So what it does is it removes an alkyl group, and that alkyl group goes to nitrogen along with a pair of electrons. And this rearranges to what we call as an alkyl isocyanate. This is what will always happen when you get a nitrine of this kind. Whenever you get a RCO nitrine, you will always get an alkyl isocyanate eventually. Now what happens? Water attacks the carbon, pi bond shifts to O. You got this, you got intramolecular proton exchange. It goes here to N. Of course, the O minus could also have picked it up, but we are going to show the reaction when N picks it up. And then what happens is the minus on O comes back, and this pi bond shifts to N, and you get this. So as you can see, we are close to getting an RNH2. Repeat the process again. Attacked by water. Pi bond shifts to O, and you get this. Again, intramolecular proton exchange. The proton goes to nitrogen. The minus comes back, and the RNH2 leaves. So you get RNH2 and carbonic acid. Right? And this carbonic acid eventually gives you CO2 and water. So this is the Schmidt reaction. So I hope you were able to learn about this Schmidt reaction. Plus make sure that you remember this reaction. Remember the part where I said this is going to become similar to other reactions I mentioned. There's a reaction called Hofmann-bromide degradation, Lawson rearrangement, and many other reactions similar to this. And so they will all be similar in the sense that once you get the nitrine, then everything falls into place. They will all give you primary amines, and they will all give you CO2. So this is one such reaction, Schmidt reaction on carboxylic acid. With that, this is Kalyan Kumar signing off. Have a great and wonderful day. I'll catch you in the next video.